You want to get right into Dennis Schroder?
Let's do it. Let's do it. You know what?
Oh my
you
God.
have some thoughts. I know you have some thoughts. I'm gonna preface everything with, because I think I might have the controversial thoughts. We have not talked about this. So I tweeted out this. Let me just pull up my own tweet. Dennis Schroder bet on himself and it didn't work out, at least for now. Say what you want about the guy, but I'm not going to tear him down for believing in himself. Now we'll see if with the Celtics he can go out and earn the type of money he thinks he's worth. All right, so I believe in this. I got some heat from this. I lost like 100 followers. First of all, if you're unfollowing me off of that, I don't know what's going on, but here's my thought process here. Okay, all the time we see guys bet on themselves and we praise them for it. We're like, yes, you bet on yourself. And when it works out, we're like, that's amazing. Okay. Did he turn down big money? Of course. And apparently, some people are calling him, and it's early in the pod, we'll say a-hole. We'll curse later. Some people are saying, behind the scenes, he wasn't the best. Okay. Sure. I don't know much more about that. Maybe Mike, you could speak on that. However, why when someone bets on themselves and it works out, we praise them to no end and we're like, yeah, man, he took the risk and it paid off. But when he bet on himself and failed, everyone is dragging this man. Okay. So he also had a ton of unfortunate circumstances here. One, he obviously thought the Lakers were headed to an NBA, at least Western Conference Finals run, if not championship run. If not, winning the whole thing. He thought that was going to happen. He thought he was walking away 4 years, $100 million, because he thought he was going to be the third best player on a championship team. It makes sense. He didn't think that Anthony Davis and LeBron were going to be hurt and not be able to perform at the level they were. I understand the bet on himself for sure.
Yeah, so guys, we are capping off the giveaway to the first 40,000 subscribers that turn on our notifications for the Laced Up podcast. All you have to do to enter for a chance to win a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X is subscribe, hit that notification bell. If you want to do us a favor, leave a like on the pod and let me know in the comment section down below when it's done. You'll enter for a chance to win a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X.
And also, unfortunately, that is combined with, this is probably one of the deepest and most, maybe not most talented in terms of highest level talent, but one of the deepest free agency pools of point guards that we've seen. There are so many starting point guards that were just going around, and Dennis Schroder, he had a lot of people just, didn't have the best opinion of him after the playoffs. So he might've got screwed a little. And now we're going to see the Boston Celtics. They got a steal here, of course, paying him what, $5 million, is it right? 5 million,
5.9 million.
Yeah. Paying him that is amazing. He's either going to start or be their sixth man, I guess, depending on what they do with Marcus Smart. We will see if he's worth that contract. This could still pay off very well for him next year when there are a lot less free agents on the market. Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead and hate. I'm sure you've got some hate ready.
So like you were saying, in your tweet when you said he was betting himself, there's multiple factors that I think a lot of people were neglecting when they look at the Dennis Schroder situation. The first thing is, this is his age 27 season, right? So this is probably the greatest payday that he could have. So he came into this season and the very first storyline on Dennis Schroder, if you remember, he came in and said, I want to start for the Lakers. I've done the sixth man stuff for the past 2 years with the OKC Thunder. I want to start alongside LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And the reason for that is very simple. If you look at sixth men of years past, even going back to last year, Montrezl Harrell, for example, Montrezl Harrell won sixth man of the year and was rewarded with a 2-year, $19.9 million contract. And Dennis Schroder finished second place to him last year. So coming in, obviously the strategy is, okay, if I'm a starter next to LeBron James, next to Anthony Davis, and LeBron's one, going to make me look good. Two, I'm probably going to have a lot more open looks and a lot more situations where I could inflate my stats. Then I can hit the open market. Life is going to be good for me. Now, At the time, the Lakers offered him a 2-year, $33.4 million contract at like the very moment that they traded for him, which of course it was more of a formality. He declined it. And the reason why he was offered such a low contract is there's this very silly rule where once you trade for a player that's on an expiring contract, you could only offer him like a contract extension that's a 5% raise. I don't know why this rule exists, but it does. So the storyline then was, okay, let's see what happens in February when the Lakers can actually extend him. So obviously Schroder at this point, very up and down season, but there's also something that Schroder had going for him on the Los Angeles Lakers. He had a ton of leverage. Like, I don't think people understand how much leverage this man had, and it actually made sense to bet on himself because at the time, the Lakers in February famously offered him a 4-year, $84 million contract, which he famously declined. Why? So a lot of people don't pay attention to the why here. Well, the Los Angeles Lakers, if they lost Dennis Schroder, they were still capped out. Like, it was going to be a downgrade no matter what. There was no one that they could get to replace Dennis Schroder or fill in his shoes unless they somehow swung a trade that would move Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Kyle Kuzma, and, of course, Montrezl Harrell, which, lo and behold, this past offseason, they were able to accomplish. So he had a lot of leverage. And if you also look, we discussed this on the podcast before, Mike, if you remember, LeBron James's teammates historically typically eat after winning championships. You look at Matthew Dellavedova after the 2016 NBA Finals run. You look at Joe Harris, how much money he got recently from the Brooklyn Nets. Granted, shooting is at a premium. You saw what the contract Kevin Love got, which he was going to get anyways, but I'm sure you understand Timofey Mozgov. Don't even get me started on that guy's contract. But historically, role players on LeBron James-led teams that win championships tend to eat. So in this situation, Dennis Schroder pretty much had diamond hands to the point where it screwed him over, which I like to call him Diamond Hands Dennis Schroder, because he thought that if he kept holding on, he would hit that 100 million point. And it makes a lot of sense. You know, like if I told you, and I've even went on record to say this in January when I told you, when we were talking about Russell Westbrook potentially getting traded to the Lakers or Chris Paul potentially getting traded to the Lakers, even I, the most delusional Laker fan that I believe exists in our society, a man that truly believes that we're going to get Luka Doncic in 5 years, even I thought that was a long shot just because the salary cap gymnastics would not work. So the fact that this happened to him is very unfortunate. I don't think it's fair to play Captain Hindsight and say, yo, Dennis, you should have taken the 4-year, $84 million contract, because obviously he should have. But in this scenario, depending on his role with the Boston Celtics, it's a tough pill to swallow if you're Dennis, because, I mean, which would you prefer? If you're getting offered a max contract to play with the Lakers, you're pretty much the third star to Anthony Davis and LeBron James. Those are championship contending teams. And you fumbled the bag there. It's unfortunate, but it does happen. But I think it's important that we stress why he did what he did and how it actually made sense and how unfortunate it is that it completely just didn't work out for him.
So exactly. Okay, so we are on the same page, I feel like, with Dennis Schroder. He bet on himself at the time. It turned some people's heads, but it really wasn't until the playoffs, I would say, where, there were some rumblings of people saying things, but there wasn't too much hate on that. It was like, okay, well, he better perform. And then the playoffs came, and then that's when people started to pile on. And people were going on and on about Reggie Jackson on the Clippers. And Reggie Jackson signed for around 2 years, $22 million. So he only got $11 million. So again, I just think, I feel like let's wait and see what happens with this. People are hating on him. I'm not going to hate on the man. You know, like, again, he bet on himself. Not going to hate on him for that. I think that with the Boston Celtics, like, this is a godsend for the Celtics, honestly, because what else did the Celtics do this offseason? Like, what was going on there? They ended up getting Schroder for a very, very cheap contract, and now they get to play him and, you know, see what happens and see what happens with him, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum, and Marcus Smart. I mean, I don't know what's going on in Boston. Personally, I think that they are one of the biggest losers of this offseason. I think that, you know, they're banking on their guys right now that are on their current roster to step up a lot, like guys like Robert Williams, you know, Nesmith. I think that they are hoping for improvement there. Yeah, I mean, they end up getting Al Horford, who is really old at this point. So we're going to see what happens in Boston. But any more thoughts on Schroder?
No, not until we discuss our winners and losers, which, by the way, I disagree on the Boston Celtics being a loser, but we'll get to that. It's weird. I'm a Laker fan and I'm defending the Celtics, but yeah.
I don't think the Celtics are a playoff team after this summer.
No, I don't think they're a playoff team, but I think they did do a good job cleaning up their mess. You know, like moving on from Kemba Walker that didn't work out and bringing in a player that historically did work out, getting a player for the cheap in Dennis Schroder. I think it's a pretty solid offseason.
Well, that was okay. So like I said, that was like kind of a godsend. If before the Schroder deal, like if you look at their offseason, what was happening? And Al Horford at this point is already 35. I mean, I don't know what we're going to expect out of him.
Yeah, that was mainly to get out of Kemba Walker's contract and just bring back a guy that succeeded with the Celtics, and just I think it was mutually beneficial for them to reunite. It's not like a home run A+, but like I think given their situation, they did very well for what they had, and they really didn't have many options this offseason either. They're not really a destination.
You're still here while the music is cued. Here are 2 videos I think you are definitely going to enjoy. Make sure to click on one of them. Again, I know you're gonna love it. And other than that, have a great day and peace.